my name is Noah and I'm a DevRel engineer working on Atlas. In this video, I'll be going over our newest schema as code feature that allows you to take a SQL schema and separate it into multiple smaller files so they're easier to manage, but then import them into each other to organize dependencies. As projects grow, teams often want to separate their schema definitions across multiple files. This is pretty simple to do with an HCL schema definition because since dependencies are going to be explicitly defined, Atlas will have no problem piecing together which commands need to be applied to your schema first. So for example, we have this public schema here in our HCL definition, and let's say we want to add a table within the schema. Logically, you would put it after, but let's say for some reason, we actually defined this table before defining the schema. Atlas, because of this statement, will know that there is a schema public somewhere in our definition that needs to be defined first. So it will organize the commands in order to fit this dependency. It's a bit more difficult to do with SQL because it's an imperative language where the order of commands matters within the definition itself. We could separate the files in order, so all the dependencies are in order. For example, we have our public schema in this first file, and a table within that schema is in the files later on. But if, let's say, for some reason, this schema was actually defined in the fourth file, there would be an issue because the dependencies are now out of order. Our new import feature allows you to import these files into each other, so that way the dependencies can be more clarified for Atlas to then piece together using topological sort which commands need to be run first in order to safely apply our new schema to our current schema. So we'll go over an example to visually kind of show you how that works. Suppose you're maintaining an e-commerce platform where your database schema is split into two logical schemas, one for tracking customer and order data named CRM, and another for tracking back office operations named back office. Now these schemas are going to be largely separate, but they will share some common logic. And using our new importing feature, we can much more easily allow both of them to depend on the same logic. So our common objects that both of these schemas are going to use is going to be defined in this common.sql file. And this file defines a username person ID domain type. And it's enforcing a basic format of letters, numbers, and underscores with a length of 6 to 20 characters. Then for each schema, you can define the schema-specific objects in separate files. So we'll start with the CRM tables. This file defines a customers table for tracking customer data, and it's using the person ID domain type that we defined in the common.sql file. And you can see here we are importing that common.sql file at the top in order to utilize this person ID type. Next, we can define the employees table in the back office tables file. And this is also using the person ID type, and it's also importing common.sql at the top here. Now that we have these schema definitions defined, we can combine them and stitch them together in a file called main.sql. So here we're going to use the same import statements, but this time for the back office directory and the CRM directory. And this just becomes the main definition of our entire schema. So now that we have this, what we can do is go into our atlas.hcl file, and our new schema source link is going to be the path to the main.sql file. So now that we have everything set up, let's run atlas schema apply and see what happens. Let's go over what's going on here. So this is Atlas's plan for getting to our desired schema from the current schema, which in my case right now is an empty database. And it's giving us all of those commands in proper order to take care of all the dependencies that we gave it. So to start, we imported the back office directory in main.sql. So it's going to create that back office schema. And in back office, we imported common. So now we're going to create the common schema. Then we created the CRM schema, and we can do that right here, no problem. Now we need to create the domain type person ID because that is being used in both CRM and back office from Common. So before we can create our employees table and our customers table, we have to create the person ID domain type. So Atlas has figured out using topological sort and us telling it which files are being imported where, what order our commands need to be in order to get to our desired schema state. We hope this new feature will make it easier for you to manage your own large databases using Atlas. If you need any other information, there are some helpful links in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.